Hello, I'm Mike and welcome to Camden Garden Centre. I'm going to give you some help with some gardening advice. What you need for this are plant labels and a pencil, a proprietary seed compost, and here I'm using John Innes seed compost. If you've got very fine seeds, then you'll need some dry silver sand. You need the seeds, of course, and a clean seed container. You don't have to use a seed tray, a little plant pot will do as well. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to sow begonia seed. Begonia is very, very fine. It's like dust. I'll show you. And it comes in a little sealed container to keep the moisture out. And within that, a little plastic vial. And that's all the seeds you get. And what I'll be doing in a minute is mixing that with some silver sand because it's far too fine to evenly sow by hand. By mixing it with some sand, you'll be able to distribute the seeds more easily. Now the first thing to do is to write your label, and generally what people do is put the name of the plant and the sowing date. So this is a begonia, and it's a cultivar of begonia called Tomfoolery mixed. And I'm going to put the date on here. Okay. When you're sowing seeds, all seed packets have got very, very helpful instructions on the back of them. They tell you when you can sow them, when the plants should be expected to be ready to be planted out, and in this case it's a flowering plant when it comes into flower, and it gives you all the sowing instructions here, temperatures that the plants need, the types of compost, whether it needs light or dark, and it gives you information about watering them as well. So I'm now going to fill my seed tray with compost. And it's important to use a seed compost because these composts are clean. They've been pasteurised so that there are no weed seeds in there or pests or diseases. If you were to try and use soil from your garden, I'm afraid you'll be importing a lot of weed seeds and pests and diseases, and also the texture of the compost wouldn't be sufficient for sowing seeds. It would probably set like concrete, whereas these composts have been specially devised to have a good texture. Now I'm just going to flatten that down. Especially with fine seeds, it's important to have an even surface on the compost. If you've got an uneven surface, then the seeds will germinate at different rates. So I've left a little gap in the top for watering later on. I'm now going to mix the begonia seeds with some fine sand. And just pour the seeds back into here. So you don't get a lot. And now some sand, just a little trickle. And now mix that up. And when you're sowing seeds, you need to sow them as evenly as possible. Okay. So I like to put the seeds in my hand like this, and put your hand very near to the surface of the seed tray, and then we just tap it, and you'll see, and I'm moving my hand over the seed tray all the time. By getting the seeds as evenly spread on the surface of the compost, it means that each little seedling as it emerges has got the same amount of light and moisture that all the other seedlings have, and therefore they'll grow at an even rate. If you've got rather thicker areas and thinner areas, then the ones that are sown too thickly in a little clump will compete with each other for air and light, and they'll grow unevenly. It's important as well not to over-sow, because if you put too many seeds in, there are fungal diseases called damping off diseases which attack young seedlings, and often the seed houses that supply the seeds put an abundance of seeds in their seed packets, and you don't necessarily want to use all of them. So just sow as many seeds as you need to, and the best place to put unused seeds is in the refrigerator, not in the freezer, but wrap them up and put them in a little plastic sealed container, and you can save the seeds till next year. Different seeds have got different viability, in other words, how long the seed remains alive for. Some seed remains alive for 2 or 3 years. Some seeds remain alive for many, many years. Now remember, the bulk of what I'm sowing now is sand, and the tiny little dust-like begonia seeds are distributed in that sand. And now the next thing I'm going to do is transfer this seed container into some water. So I'll just bring that water here. And the best way to do it is to immerse the seed tray in water. And after a few seconds, you'll see the surface start to darken. There it goes, as the water spreads across it. If you water from overhead, there's a danger that you'll wash the seedlings all to one side of the seed tray. By watering from below, you get a much more efficient cover. Now, this seed packet says that do not cover the seed as it requires light to germinate. So I'm not going to cover those little seedlings. I'm going to leave them like that, and I'll wait for the little seedlings to emerge. Now, because the seed's directly on the surface, it's very important to keep that surface moist, and the best way to do that is to use a little mister and spray the surface, and then I'll wait for the seedlings to germinate. So there's my label, and that's it. Sowing seeds in containers.